Welcome back to The Haunted Beard, everybody. My name is Jake. Well, I have been watching and reviewing every single movie in the entire Nightmare on Elm Street series, and today I'm talking about the spin-off from 2003, Freddy vs. Jason. But before I do, if you like videos like this and you are interested in horror and thriller movie content, that is what I do on The Haunted Beard, so do me a favor, hit that red subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. Alright, let's get into the movie. So I don't really see a point in giving you a plot synopsis for this thing. The plot pretty much is right there in the title. You've got two legendary horror icons going at it, and that's pretty much all you need to know for this thing. Now listen, this movie knows what it is. It is not trying to hide the fact that it is a ridiculous, cheesy, over-the-top slasher movie, and it pretty much just prides itself in being exactly that. Is this movie good? No. But is it entertaining, and do I have a pretty good time with it? Yeah, for the most part I do. This, in some ways, I think can be classified in sort of the realm of so bad it's good. I think you could also kind of classify this as a bit of a guilty pleasure. Like I said, I wouldn't call it good, but it knows what it is. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and this is just what I would call big, dumb fun. I almost don't even really see the point in trying to critique this thing on any sort of technical level, because it's not really interested in giving us great, complicated characters or, even trying to deliver Oscar-worthy acting performances. The characters, there's not really much to them. The acting it's okay, it's serviceable. It's just trying to give us over-the-top slasher, blood and gore, some really cheesy and corny humor and comedy, and some action, and that's really about it. And like I said, for the most part, it delivers that. There's really only a couple things from a technical level that I don't really like and that bother me. The first thing is that every once in a while, this movie will do sort of this like glitchy, shaky sort of shutter effect with the camera, and it just looks really bad, and I just hate it every time the movie does that. It's almost like a slow-mo, but it's just this really glitchy shutter type effect that just looks terrible. Also, too, this movie definitely has some early 2000s CGI that has not aged well at all, and I know it's easy to critique that, especially with where technology was and is now. Movie can't help it. It's just simply a product of its time, but it definitely does not look great and hasn't aged too well. But that's really about it. Mainly, I'm just going to spend the rest of the review talking about the scenes that I like, that I find entertaining, that I just have a fun time with. Before I do, though, I will say, I guess from a little bit of a technical perspective, I do actually think the setup in this is actually pretty good. Just the idea and the concept with which they present the movie to us is actually pretty good. And we get this opening scene where Jason kills this girl, and everybody has forgotten about Freddy. Nobody fears him anymore, and so Freddy has been gone and all but disappeared. And he comes to Jason disguised as Jason's mother and tells him the kids on Elm Street need to be dealt with. And so Freddy disguises himself, tricks Jason to go to Elm Street, because he knows that once kids start dying, they're going to start remembering the murders that happened, and it's going to resurrect Freddy. And so I think it's actually a pretty good concept for as ridiculous of an idea in a movie as this is. I think the concept's actually pretty good. So I give him some props there. Also, too, I really like the look of Freddy here. Just from kind of the makeup perspective, I think just his makeup looks good. I like, too, that they like changed his teeth. He's got more kind of sharp fang-like teeth. Just a small detail there, but I think it works pretty well. But as far as the actual scenes that I enjoy in this movie, let's start off with the opening kill, because that's really why we watch these movies. We just want to see good old slasher bloody violence, and we want to see the ultimate showdown between two of our favorite horror icons. So the opening kill of Blake is a lot of fun, as Jason stabs him while he's laying down in bed and then folds the bed up and he just snaps in half backwards. It's a lot of fun. The next kill is pretty good as well. The kill of Trey, I believe it is, where he sits down on the porch next to his dad, and his dad's head, he gets decapitated and it falls off into his lap, and then he turns around, Jason's there, and you get a nice little bloodbath. So also a pretty fun kill. The next sequence that I want to talk about, I think, is the best scene in the entire movie, with the exception of the very end where we do get our finale, our showdown between Freddy and Jason. But that is the cornfield party scene. And we get just another great showing of Jason here as he shows up on these two guys. Takes one guy and twists his head all the way around, which just looks ridiculously cheesy, but it's hilarious, and so I love it. And then we get him throwing his machete through this guy's chest as it's on fire. Love that. And then Jason himself gets lit on fire, and I just love the visual of him walking through the cornfield on fire as he emerges on this party, and everybody sees him and starts freaking out. And just a fun time right there, right? I mean, as if Jason isn't terrifying enough, hey, let's add some fire to the mix. We'll have this guy literally on fire. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. He just, terrorizes and lays waste to people, and the blood flows, and we're just sitting there watching it with a smile on our face, and it's a good time. Look, there's just a handful of really bad and cheesy comedy in this, but for the most part, I laugh at it in a way where I'm just kind of rolling my eyes and shaking my head, kind of in the sense that it's so bad it's good.
You kids need some assistance?
But again, I think the movie is self-aware enough, it knows what it's doing, and typically in a horror movie, the comedy would kind of ruin the tone, but this movie isn't really there to try to scare us in the typical traditional horror movie sense. It's really just trying to be fun and entertaining, and so for the most part, the humor here works for me, and I'm on board with it. The next scene that I quite enjoy is Mark's scene, where he starts dreaming while he's in the bathroom, and his dead brother comes to him up out of the bathtub and starts talking to him. Just a fun sequence there in the dream world that I like. Freddy kind of gets his chance to shine. Then we get sort of a precursor to our showdown, where Freddy ends up bringing Jason into the dream world, and he's in his territory now, right? And they have a bit of a battle there. Just kind of the red and green lighting effects are fun here, and so that's a fun time. Again, another just really goofy moment where Freddy's throwing Jason around the boiler room that he's in, and he's bouncing around to these pinball sound effects. Just completely ridiculous, but it's fun. I like it. We get another fun scene where the group breaks into the institution to look for the Hypnosil anti-dreaming medication. And then we get just the ridiculous scene with the stoner and the caterpillar who comes to him smoking the hookah. Which is just, I mean, what can you even say about that? But then there's a cool part where the stoner kid kind of gets inhabited by Freddy, and he confronts Jason. And we get the cool line that he delivers.
We gotta go! Now! Come on!
Let me handle this, bitch.
What?
Then he stabs Jason with the tranquilizers, all the while Jason cuts him in half with his machete. Another just fun kill that I enjoy. Ultimately, all this leads to our showdown at the end of the movie, which is why you're watching in the first place. You want to see Freddy and Jason go at it. And the whole final act here, the finale of these two, is just a lot of fun. I enjoy it for what it is. The scene with Freddy firing the compressed air canister torpedoes at Jason is fun. The whole concluding part of them out on the dock where they're just literally ripping each other apart. You get just some good blood and gore here, and like I said, it's two horror icons going at it. What more could you want? The movie delivers on that, and I have a fun time with it. There's a massive explosion. Freddy loses his arms. Jason goes in the water, and then, of course, we get our concluding shot with Jason emerging from the water, holding Freddy's head, but turns out Freddy's still alive as he looks at the camera and winks at us, and then credits roll. So, look, this movie is what it is. It's just big, dumb fun, and it's entertaining for the most part. I have a good enough time with it. I feel like a grade for this is pretty much pointless, but for what it's worth, I don't know. I'd probably be at like a 6 out of 10 or something like that. It is obviously not the high spot in this franchise, but definitely not the low spot in terms of an entertainment factor. I think it is one of just the more entertaining movies in this series here. But yeah, look, those are my thoughts on Freddy vs. Jason, and overall, have a pretty fun time with it. So those are my thoughts. Next up, we've only got one movie left in this thing, and that is the Nightmare on Elm Street remake from 2010. This is actually going to be a first-time watch for me, and I'm aware of the movie's reputation. I've kind of intentionally been avoiding it. Haven't really had much of a desire to watch it, but I got to watch it if I'm going to go through this whole thing. So we'll see how it goes, and we're going to power through. And so, yeah, that'll be the final review for this, the remake from 2010. And we will see you then on The Haunted Beard.